This could be a short one today because Branko and I are at odds. I'm taking you down today. The game is on. Ever since I heard that gemologist, that scientist, the top scientist, who happens to be a very beautiful woman from the GIA, and I do have a bit of a fondness for beautiful things. What was her name again? I couldn't remember it.
I hope I pronounced correctly. Ulrika Johansson.
Ulrika
Originally
Johansson. It's kind of hot the way you say it with that.
I'm European also.
Yeah, Serbian, aren't you? Anyway, here we are. We're back. I believe this is episode 126 as I look around to the beautiful, marvelous Marin and Katrina Bianca. That's quite a mouthful there, Katrina Bianca. Good name, though. And here I am with one of the leading scientists in the diamond industry. No Ulrika at the GIA, but Branko Deljanin, who I've known for many, many years. And Branko's back today. And today on the podcast, episode 126, is, imagine 126 episodes. Crazy, crazy. But there's been lots to talk about over the last couple of years as we've progressed with the podcast. And certainly one of the things is this cops and robbers game that's being played with mined diamonds versus laboratory created diamonds, and the ongoing, I guess, discussion is what the friendly term I will use about it to identify the differences. And, you know, I guess it's why eyewitness testimony is no longer considered good evidence, is because people see things differently. Branko's on here, and certainly on some points, on most points, I think we completely agree, but on some we may differ. And so I've warned him today on the show that if he differs from me, I'm going after him. So Marin's got me in a bad mood today. How could you get anybody in a bad mood? That's Marin behind the camera. We're going live right after this, so this could turn into an all-out scrap.
Yeah. I can agree with you, Colin, that in the last few years it's more challenging to identify laboratory grown or synthetic diamonds. But you see, this is why doing this conference. This is my last one in May in Italy and Slovenia. My talk was on historical review of laboratory grown diamonds and their detection. You can see here, hopefully you can zoom in later and give some photos. It was very easy 20-25 years ago when I started to see first laboratory grown diamonds in New York and certify first of them and grade them. I was the first one to make this steering the industry, but then become more
So hang on, what do you mean by stirring the industry? I can remember
because
those
at that time
days,
nobody was grading them in 2000. Only I did first in EGL USA New York when I was working there.
Oh, you're
then
kidding.
2005 IGI and GI started 5 years after.
I should have a lot more respect for you, I think, than I actually
Actually,
did.
I'm not sure if it's good thing I did it, because at that time there were low quality or medium quality and very few were VVS or VS. It was important to separate, do you agree, fancy intense yellow VS
100%,
or I1 fancy deep yellow or dark yellow. At that time was important.
100%.
No colorless at that time.
So I can remember having my office in Antwerp, Belgium. And Antwerp in those days, for 450 years, this is around 25 years ago, the GIA would send representatives in to check the millie. I mean, this is around the same time, where they would take a scoop and they would take it back to the GIA. And I guess in the learning curve, they were trying to figure out how much was made in a laboratory and how much was made in a from a mine, earth grown or lab grown.
So basically, between 2000 and 2005, a lot of metal-grown diamonds are made, mostly China. I was in South Korea, in Seoul, testing some factory. Third largest producer of industrial diamonds. First one is Element 6 or General Electric. We don't know who is first or second. Third one is Ilgin. There were buckets of small 5-point crystals of yellow diamonds. And I make a picture in JCK magazine, me checking them. They end up in jewelry somewhere, Colin, I know. and only in 2002, 2003 we detect them in New York 2 years after, and then they detect colorless GA and other labs. So they were floating around since 2000. But
and how was your identification in those days?
Yeah.
Because I know in those days too, and this game of cops and robbers, and I know you and I all this kind of comes back to me now because you and I looked at a couple different stones together. I had a GIA certified, I believe it was 1.5 carats. It was a cushion cut green, and I brought it to you, which led me down a path. This is interesting because the GIA had certified it erroneously. And they only after they'd certified all these diamonds, someone who employed with the company who manufactured them came forward after a dispute with the company and said that they had been enhanced for color. And you were the one who told me it was not a real diamond. And by real, I mean, if it's treated, it's not real. If it's enhanced in any way, shape, or form, to me, it's not real. And the GIA had missed it on a big batch of them, and I happened to have one. And, when I realized what it was, I couldn't sell it anymore in good faith.
So at that time, science is evolving, but one of the techniques is used by me and other researchers is fluorescence of diamonds. So it's relatively easy to check if this is a pink diamond, synthetic or treated or natural, because they fluoresce strong orange if they are treated or synthetic. If it's argyle, as you also argyle dealer for many years,
Yeah.
it will fluoresce blue. So this is more complicated with these small diamonds. You can see small melee diamonds, colorless. Why it's complicated? Because they're small and they're mounted, so we cannot always see very well inclusions, of course.
Right.
Then we use fluorescence. Last time at the podcast we were talking about small boxes, remember? Now this is a J Mini, what is basically built-in UV, deep UV fluorescence, short UV, that will check all these rings at the same time in 45 seconds and tell you based on fluorescence if this is natural for sure, HPHT synthetic for sure, and will screen CVD. Yes, CVD needs more testing.
Let's
Yes. So I know we'll do this more in detail later, but basically this is how it looks.
So this
hopefully
looks
you can see.
this diamond does not look natural to me.
Yeah, this
The,
is
the pink.
this
And
is-
I'll tell you why, and I battled with this for a long time, is the fact that you and I, with the amount of diamonds we look at, with color for a long time, I assume this stone's been around for a while, because due to the encouragement, let's say, of LVMH, the biggest luxury brand in the world, there's been a lot of work done recently with lab-grown color to match its more natural colors.
professional industry.
Yeah, exactly. And for the luxury fashion industry, which I think people have to bear in mind that these lab-grown diamonds, there's a big part of the world who are interested in the fact that they are, and I know this resonates with Marin, is that they are environmentally, ethically, there's no child labor involved, these sorts of things that we're still seeing today with their mined counterparts. And so there's that luxury marketplace that has to date said, no, I'm not doing diamonds. And now with lab growing, they're starting to do diamonds. And LVMH, who owns companies like Tiffany, who are some of the biggest luxury brands globally, it may be the biggest actually, and they're doing the work to introduce them. And so when I look at this, I mean, I've looked at a lot of pink diamonds, my gut would tell me that it's not
Too good to be true. Two nice colors, yeah. Intense.
It's not, it seems a little off. I wouldn't call it too good to be true. Certainly, as sitting at the Argyle Pink Diamond Mine in Perth, I saw some crazy pinks, but it's just a little bit off to me, to be really candid. But having said that, I can't tell you if it's real or not, right? By looking, no one in the world can.
No, I can because it's many people can because it's a question of testing proper equipment.
Right.
Even this box that is relatively inexpensive, $400,000 US, for the jewelers. This is not designed for me, gemologist. I brought this because most of your public probably is consumers or jewelers or real people, not only scientists.
Right.
So basically you can put few rings here, and I'm just magnifying one of them. This is a very complicated ring because they're quite small stones. On purpose, I put here natural and lab grown. Not me, jeweler designed it for my workshops. So basically, I hope you can see here, but we can do it better later. So when I put in 45 seconds and I make a next picture, you can see here that some diamonds on this side are blue. Blue. They are natural diamonds. These that are green on the edge here, and you can see here even better on this one. They're all CVD grown because they fluoresce yellowish green. Hopefully you can see it, but this is what I discuss in many of my books, Fluorescence of Diamonds, good one. That you have.
This is my piece of jewelry, actually.
Yeah.
Did you get permission for this?
Of course.
Call the lawyers, no permission. Right? But this is what this is talking about.
Yeah.
Here.
So all these are argyle pinks, the fluoresce blue, and this is a very interesting stone that wrote a big article in Gems and Gemology of GA. Chameleon diamonds that fluoresce orange yellow under long UV and medium.
So this particular stone,
Only
you
one.
wrote an article on, and it's my diamond from my piece, designed by Peter Bruder and created by Peter Bruder off of all my colored diamonds, and you didn't ask my permission?
On this one I didn't write, it was different
I
article.
think I own him.
On
It's
my
a beautiful
diamond.
color.
So only this diamond will phosphoresce orange yellow. It means we turn off the light, it's still emitting the light. Like
Really?
lab grown will do. But they cannot make chameleon in the laboratory. This is the only one they can do it, changing color.
So for those of you, what he's saying is chameleon, and like a chameleon, this particular diamond that apparently is extremely
olive color.
rare,
Here you can see it.
like many of mine are,
Here's
that
an olive color.
are
See the
natural.
picture, how it looks olive.
Yeah, no, I know the stone, a beautiful olive, right? And yeah, it's
Changes to yellow temporarily, then comes back.
so diamonds that actually change color, you'd think they'd have tremendous value. They're not as valuable as you'd think, and not because of rarity, but because of the actual color.
Yes,
So they're quite rare, but it's kind of a
unusual color.
a khaki green, and they change to orange. Well, that's interesting to know that I have two things to get up your butt about to get.
So basically, when
I feel used.
when game changed a lot for history of growing diamonds is that when they start the Beers Lightbox to make CVD diamonds, most of them basically they put them in a presses and change color from brownish material to colorless. And then it was more difficult to detect it.
In presses?
Yeah, HPHT press, high pressure,
Oh
high
yeah,
temperature.
oh yeah, of course.
And then you can see fluorescence change from blue to green after treatment.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and this is interesting. You can see there's a split of the same stone under long UV and short UV. This is the way for us to screen these diamonds. Screen means to put them aside and then check with my other instrument that I couldn't bring, spectrometer, to prove the CVD. So we can detect diamonds. Some of them more challenging, CVD,
So let
some
me
of them
ask
more
you
easy.
this. In nature, my understanding is 85 to 90% of diamonds have some level of fluorescence. Is it that high?
No, it's not high. You see, I never checked a million diamonds, but GA did. So they're saying 35% of all diamonds to 40% third will fluoresce. When they fluoresce should be blue, 90%, 95%.
That's right. That's it, right. And so by putting pressure on the stone, you can change the color of the fluorescence.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that interesting? I did not know that. You actually taught me something.
Yeah. Or basically, you can also modify the color, of course, of diamond by putting on.
Oh yeah, that part I know about. I did not know it affected the fluorescence of the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could be
glad I
diamond
knew.
without fluorescence, then become treatment after a treatment as well. So many things.
Really, eh? No fluorescence and then become fluorescent. Interesting.
Of course,
and
you're right, but
fluorescence is
this
the presence of phosphorescence in the stone. So if you're out in the disco, where I was in the 1980s, and you're wearing your diamonds and there's a black light, they fluoresce. Some of them are quite beautiful. The fluorescence takes on the black light and fluoresces bright blue, like this beautiful color blue.
Oh, one thing you're right about, some instruments are not valuable anymore. Loop, even microscope, you can forget about checking laboratory grown diamonds.
Amazing. So if your jeweler tries to convince you he can look in and see a difference, that
I mean,
ain't happening.
I hope you can see this picture. In this case, all these black inclusions in one plane are proof this is a CVD diamond, because in nature it never happen exactly line up like this. Nature make a random exclusions. This is line up in a level of grow process, because they grow in layers, carbon vapor deposition.
Of course.
If you see this, then it's a proof. But
So
most of
let
them
me
are
ask you this.
VVS to VVS, as you know, one little black dot in a diamond, one. You cannot separate if it's the black dot coming from the carbon of the amorphous gas. They're growing, I was in CVD factories in India actually a month ago, it was amazing. They're growing 24 hours a day, talking about thousands and thousands of presses, factories all over.
Right.
But now they're growing them clean. Very rare I see SA1 laboratory grown
That's
diamond,
right.
very
That's
rare.
right.
Now
That's fair.
It was
That's
very
right.
common 10 years ago.
Yeah. And where was lab grown diamonds 10 years ago? They were nowhere. And now all of a sudden, out of the blue, now they've decimated the industry. It's quite stunning, really, what's happened.
Because overproduction and improve in quality.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we've talked before about how we can see them. I just want to tell another quick story. Is years ago, I had what was considered a Mitsia, which is better than a good deal. It's like a blessing on a package of yellow diamonds, and just I'm blowing your horn here, and I could look at them and could not tell the difference, and it was 10 or 15 carats of them, so it would have cost me $30,000 or $40,000 in those days, all vivid yellow. And I took them to Branko because he's who I go to when I want to know the answer. And they were all laboratory created.
Yeah.
And you were the only guy that could tell.
I have experience and I studied them. I wrote books on this. That's why.
So the bottom line here is, look, we have eliminated middlemen from our business. And the reason we do it is so that we can 100% be able to tell our clients where it comes from. But if you don't know, you need to take Branko with you wherever you go. Especially you guys who are looking at more expensive, rare kind of diamonds. Don't take your jeweler's word for it. Get verification today. Like no other time in history. Your jeweler cannot tell the difference. They can't tell the difference. Even those machines they have on their desk are best guess, particularly in the engagement market, which can be, there's engagement rings out there for 500, 5,000, 50,000, 500,000, and 5 million. Well, anything above 500, get verified.
So basically, there are a lot of machines similar to this one, or better or worse, range of $5,000 to maybe 10,000 on the market that are used by jewelers to screen diamonds. They can screen and detect natural diamonds. But what happened? They refer all synthetics, but also 3 to 5% of natural. So basically, they are a little bit not so precise in that way.
Right.
That's why it's important to go to another lab to confirm.
Right.
Or don't trust it, because I remember we talked about this. I had a chain of 200, almost 50 stones.
Half
Two of them were
carats,
natural,
weren't
and the rest were lab grown. And the jeweler seller was really tricking the buyer from Vancouver, pointing only on one that is natural, and the rest was synthetic.
Oh yeah, no.
He bought a chain $6,000 that worth
Nothing.
much less, not nothing, but
Right?
much less.
Well, you
Still,
guys understand what he's talking about here. So what he's saying is this piece, this necklace, was done with 200 diamonds all the way around. And what the jeweler did, caveat emptor, you hear it from me all the time, is the jeweler put 2 stones in that were mined, and the rest were all out of a laboratory.
Half carat each.
No one in the world can tell the difference. A half carat, D VVS1 lab grown is maybe a couple $100 or less. A half carat, what are they nowadays? The prices of, but it's at least 10 times that. I would say $2,000. US dollars for me to buy them. And we're at 20, 20 minutes. We have to get that on tape sometime, you doing your hand signals, Marin. We're at the 20-minute mark, and because we have to get off here, and then we're going on to live on TikTok and Instagram. And if you haven't seen me live, you don't know what you're missing. Or maybe you do, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it's such a challenging time, and you've got to think about what you're looking at and the fact that no one can tell by looking. Nobody in the whole wide world. Most people cannot be definitive using the equipment. Now, if you have a Branko, you can get pretty definitive, but I think you told me last week it was 4 machines later before you could make a...
So I'll show you how it looks. So sometimes this is a company who makes specifically instruments for detection. I have one of these. X I couldn't bring today, but there's 3 others. So with these 4 machines, I can tell, and qualified, trained gemologist, lab gemologist can tell. Your GG, or what is in the market in jewelry store, cannot tell. Even if you give him machines.
Graduate gemologists cannot tell.
Because he's not trained.
Well,
it's trained by me or somebody in Europe or GA also, or not. There's a few people who knows, of course, in GA as well, because they're trained for that. They'll do that all day long, you know.
It's crazy, it's critical, and you've got to take this stuff serious, because your jeweler generally, and I mean, I have people where it was my mom's jeweler, I get these things all the time. They don't know what they're doing. They buy low, sell high. And they don't know the answer. So because it's a graduate gemologist, understand what Branko's saying here, they still don't know.
He has to be with experience, he has to be trained. That's why many of them come to my workshops.
Or she, because I'm coming back to the beautiful Ulrika.
So I don't know, Colin, if you know, but American gemologists came last week, one from California, one from Atlanta, to get 3 days of training with me, 2 on diamonds, 1 on ruby sapphire emeralds,
right.
How to detect treatments and synthetics. I'm now creating a school here to become a gemologist called Allied Teaching Center from GMA in London, the oldest school. Shipley, who founded GA in 30s, went to London to learn to get FGA designation,
from
and then opened
the
GA, because this is the oldest school. I'm teaching now the oldest school, so it's possible to train people. Even this, for example, looks very complicated, but half of them are synthetic. Using UV box that is $300, you can screen this and tell it's synthetic. I teach this because they will phosphoresce, half of them. They're synthetic, half of them will not. They're natural. So this is a little shortcuts. I'm teaching trade and whoever wants.
But
to
that
learn.
Just what you're talking about there just warrants next testing, and I appreciate what you're saying. But I want to come back to this interview that I saw the other day, because I want to deal with a term that is bantied around a lot in the industry. And I'm doing this so you guys understand. I just deal in facts. Look, if you want a lab-grown diamond, I believe, because the way we've structured our business, that is a little bit proprietary. We have by far, for our clients, the lowest overheads in the industry. That's why I'll just tell you flat out, price is never our issue. No one beats our price, whether out of a mine or out of a laboratory. But it's this term called synthetic. And so there was a podcast with the Rappaport Diamond Report, RAP. I have no issue, RAPAPORT diamonds, and you can go on and see this yourself. And it was so interesting, and I'll tell you why. They had this head scientist, a woman, Ulrika Johansson, who got on, and the interviewer clearly had not done his homework, because Rappaport refers to anything, diamonds that aren't mined, as synthetic. And the powerful U.S. Trade Commission had already made a determination that because they were diamonds, whether out of a mine or out of a lab, they were synthetic. And Branko, I want to talk about this, because what Ulrika said, brilliant woman, by the way, what Ulrika said was that the term synthetic is misleading. So this is her words, not mine. You're going to see it come back. We're going to publish that article, and we're going to, oh, sorry, getting all excited here. We're going to publish that article, and we're going to publish her exact quote, because if your jeweler says synthetic, according to the Gemological Institute of America, the leading laboratories in the world, the leading educational facility in the world with campuses all over the world, you're being misled. And I felt this the whole time, and she confirmed it. She said, she stopped the guy, and I thought, if you're doing a podcast, at least have some idea of what she's going to say. This guy didn't know what to say. She said, well, scientifically, they're both diamonds, period. So there's no synthetic term. And she even quoted, this is just how right I am, and I'm not meaning to toot my own horn, but this is the facts, which we like to deal in here.
Interesting, if you look at GI report, next time maybe you can show one, is that, of course, they're using the word laboratory grown, but in description, they're using interesting term. This man-made diamond described below, man-made.
Listen,
man-made and laboratory grown, GA.
I agree. That's not misleading.
Man-made. You think it's good to say man-made?
I think it's good to say man-made. I mean, they are. They're laboratory grown. I mean, I have friends when I made the decision, and my decision was based on environmental and ethical decisions to begin to broker these, 4 years ago when my son who plays pro hockey, his someone in that business wanted one, and I'll never forget that she said the reason she wanted it was because she didn't want Mother Nature being RAPED for her, for her finger, for her. And this was you can say it out loud at home. I'm not going to say it out loud here. Because it's the reality of it. Yeah. And so when you hear the word synthetic, and I've said this, and of course I fall on deaf ears sometimes, but not anymore. If they say synthetic, they're misleading you, according to the GI.
When I first saw in 1999 in Utah how they make synthetic diamond, and in 2000 in Russia,
there is no synthetic.
It's a big achievement of the man to grow diamond. That's why it's okay to call man-made. But I was impressed. But when I went to India, I saw factories. Now we can say it's really big production, maybe factory made or factory grown, because laboratory sounds, yes, one of them looks like a laboratory, beautiful, nice and clean and nice building.
Yeah.
That one looked like a dumb factory
So
in outskirts.
What you'd expect in India. Yeah.
So it's really looked like a factory. But
no offense to any Indians, but they know what I'm talking about.
But of course, it could be a nice modern laboratory. It could be also very simple place to grow diamonds.
My friend, we've got to cut it off. Do
No
you
problem.
want any last words? Go to you.
I just want to invite everybody to go on brankogem.com for any education online. Some of them is free, some of them is cost some money, but not big money.
Can we make sure, Katrina, we put up how to contact
And
Branko
the conference like this that was in Europe, I realized a lot of GGs and Americans needed education, and Canadians, and organizing next one in Montana, June 13 to 15. Calling you very welcome. It's not so far from Vancouver.
Do I get a free?
You can have a free gala dinner and bring your friends from.
So no again,
podcast.
right? Nothing free.
If you want a
for
workshop,
all.
I need to charge you, because not only me, it's the top people doing 3 workshops there.
Well, aren't I one of the top people?
In the world, I mean.
Right, and I mean in the world. Okay, just because I don't agree with you all the time, don't
And basically,
diminish.
I can demonstrate to you how it's possible to detect laboratory grown diamonds. I can demonstrate. If you don't trust me, you need to come and see.
Listen, I trust you as far as the science allows.
Yeah, okay.
And then it stops. Although you guys are still out there trying to convince people synthetic is the word. Never use it on my show again, or I'm calling Ulrika.
Okay.
Anyway, you guys, look,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
Colin, for
coming out,
inviting me.
buddy. Always a pleasure.
Okay.
Stick around and come on the live with me.
Very good.
Okay.
I will.
I'll slice you and dice you on that. Anyway, you guys, look, thanks for coming out. Branko, we love having you here. Do you know we had the most views I think ever, didn't we, on the podcast the last time you were here?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't want to
because
tell
I
you
showed
that.
this 5 carat CVD.
I didn't want to tell you that because I was afraid you'd start to charge me to have you on. Look, you guys, thank you for coming out. We appreciate all the questions, all the input, the viewing. We're here to help if you've got answers. We also are, I'm going to flat out say it, these are the world's most beautiful diamonds at prices that defy comparison. If they're not the most beautiful in the new diamond paradigm, you're wasting your money. You may as well buy synthetic. Thanks, guys.